Hello everyone, I'm so glad to do the presentation on behalf of our group. So firstly, as you can see that there are different variables in the dataset, and we are going to use the 9 variables to do the analysis. Also, we are going to convert this variable into the scale data type. So here are 3 main indicators we are going to talk about in order to examine whether there exists the gender and racial discrimination in this company. So the first indicator is composition ratio of employees, and the second one is current salary. The third one is employment category. So first we are going to talk about the composition ratio of employees. We can see that the female persons accounted for 50.8% of the whole population, and the p-value here is 0.023, which means that the sex ratio in our sample is significantly different from the US population. So here we did the same test on the race, and we found that race ratio in our sample is not significantly different from the US population. However, as we know, gender ratios vary in different industries, and because of lack of detailed information about the company, there's no enough evidence to prove that the gender discrimination exists in terms of the company recruitment. So here, we are going to talk about the second stage, which is current salary. We are going to use a frequency, t-test, correlation test, and regression to do our analysis. So here, as you can see, there's a bar chart. Although we can see the slight difference between the gender and also between the minority classification, but still, there's no enough proof to show the discrimination. So next, we do the t-test. The non-hypothesis of the t-test is the current salaries of female and male employees are the same. So the test variable is the current salary, and the grouping variable is gender, and 0 represents male, and 1 represents female. So the result here is p-value is 0, which is less than 0.05. So we reject HO, and we conclude that the current salaries of male and females are different. So we do the same procedure, and we found that the current salaries of the white and non-white are different. We stepped further to explore what are the variables that have caused the difference in the current salary. As for the categorical data, we are going to use the chi-square test to check the independence between the current salary and gender, race, employment category. So here, our conclusion is the current salary has no association with race, but relate to gender and employment category. As for the scalar data, variables has been applied to test the relationship between the variables, namely beginning salary, job seniority, age of employee, years in full-time education, work experience with the current salary. So it is only to find out that except for job seniority, the current salary has correlation relationship with all other four variables. Based on what we mentioned before, we are going to remove the race and job seniority from the model we are going to build, and we only use the related variables, which are gender, employment category, beginning salary, age of employee, years in full-time education, and work experience. So here is the output of the regression in SPSS. So as you can see, although the age of employee, this variable is related to the current salary before, but here, of course, the p-value here is larger than 0.05, so we regard this variable as unrelated variable. So our equation from this model is here. So here, from the summary of the model, we can see that the R square here is 0.822, which means 82.2% of the independent variables can be explained by the model. And then the third indicator, which is the employment category. So we are going to use the chi-square test to check the independence of the employment category and to the gender of the employment and the minority. So the p-value here, we can see that the employment category has significant correlation with the sex and race. So which means the company has its preference on gender and race for different job positions. So finally, let's talk about the findings we found in the previous analysis. With regard to the composition ratio of employees, there's evidence on the discrimination against gender, but we do need further analysis. As for the current salary, there's evidence on the discrimination against gender, but there's no enough proof about the race discrimination. In terms of the employment category, there's evidence on discrimination against gender and race. That's all our findings. Thank you for your attention.